My girlfriend of 2 years just made her choice, and it wasn't me. It was her friends again. So I'm finished. Honestly, this whole situation is just a total disaster. I've been with Clara for 2 years, and I really thought we were building a future. We got a place together 6 months back, splitting all the bills, doing the whole domestic couple thing. But lately, it feels less like I have a girlfriend and more like I have 5 roommates. You see, she has this inseparable group of friends, Zoe, Liam, Maya, and Noah. They have a cheesy name for their crew and are attached at the hip. Constant messaging, coordinated outfits, and you name it. It seemed nice at first, but now, I just feel like the guy who covers half the mortgage. The whole thing exploded last weekend. It was our 2nd anniversary, and I'd put together a whole surprise evening. Booked a table at the restaurant from our first proper date. Snagged tickets for that indie band she loves. It wasn't extravagant, just personal. I walked into the living room and she was just glued to her phone watching her friends' party stories. "Hey," I said, "I've got our anniversary all planned out for next Saturday." She looked up and her face just fell, like I'd given her terrible news. "Oh," she said, putting her phone down. "Oh, babe, that's the same night as Maya's birthday party. There's no way I can miss that." My heart sank, but I tried to be cool about it. "Okay, well, could you ask them to maybe move it to Friday or Sunday?" She was already shaking her head. "No, you don't get it. Maya planned it for Saturday, because it's the only day everyone is free. Liam has a huge work thing on Sunday, and Zoe's been so swamped with her new job she really needs this break. Plus, Noah just got dumped, so he needs our support." The more she talked, the more passionate she got, as if she was convincing herself. "We all need this night, Chris. The group hasn't had a proper get-together in forever. But it's our anniversary," I said, and my voice sounded pathetic even to me. "It's a once-a-year thing. You see your friends all the time." That's when her entire vibe shifted. She leaned back, crossed her arms, and looked at me like I was being a child. "Priorities," she said coldly. "My friends are permanent. Boyfriends aren't always." I just stared at her, completely stunned. Not if we broke up, or hopefully we never part ways, but a flat-out statement of fact. Like our entire relationship was just a temporary stop on her social calendar. After everything we'd done, I was still just a placeholder who could be worked around their brunch schedule. And this wasn't a one-off thing. When I finished my master's degree, she ditched my graduation for Zoe's last-minute housewarming. My sister's wedding a few months ago. She claimed she was too worn out from a weekend music festival with her friends to be my date. When my dad had his heart surgery, she couldn't even visit the hospital because it was their sacred trivia night. But she has no problem calling me at 3 a.m. to be her personal taxi when Noah gets too wasted to drive. I show up, she barely says thank you, and then spends the whole ride home gossiping about drama between her friends. Worst of all is how she frames our relationship to them. I overheard her on the phone with Maya last week, telling her I was being super clingy lately, and that I needed to understand she had a life before me. It made me feel like some possessive high school kid, not her partner who just wants to feel important to her. I've tried to talk about finding a balance. She'll say all the right things, promise to make more time for us, and then immediately book a weekend trip with them. When I call her on it, I'm the bad guy trying to cut her off from her support system. It's a game I can't win. I'm typing this from a cafe down the street. I just couldn't be in that apartment. I've been looking at new places all day, and found a nice one-bedroom I can handle myself. The application is ready to send in my drafts folder. I do love her, but I'm done being an afterthought in my own life. Is it really that crazy to want your partner to actually act like your partner? That original post got way more attention than I thought. Thanks to everyone for the reality check. For those who hoped we'd work it out. Well, you're about to see how that went. So, I sent in that rental application. I was approved in less than 2 days, which felt like the universe giving me a nudge. I spent the next week moving my things out piece by piece whenever she was out with her friends, which, conveniently, was almost every night. By the time she realized what was happening, I was about 90% moved out. She got home late one night after trying some new cocktail bar and immediately noticed my TV and game console were missing. I could hear her walking through the apartment, her voice getting more panicked. Chris, what is going on? Where is everything? I was in the bedroom packing my last suitcase. She just stood in the doorway, her eyes darting around at the empty spaces. Are you leaving me? The words sounded so fragile. I just handed her the letter I'd written, explaining that I couldn't be in a relationship where I always came last. She scanned it once, then read it again, her expression turning from confusion to anger. You're breaking up with me because of my friends? She demanded. Because I have people in my life who were there for me long before you were? I sat on the bed, feeling a wave of exhaustion. It's not about you having friends. Then what is it about? She shot back, shaking the letter at me. Because it sounds like you want me to abandon everyone I love for you. I want you to love me too, I said, my voice quiet. I want to feel like we matter. She looked at me as if I'd just said the most ridiculous thing she'd ever heard. Of course you matter. But I can't just drop my entire life every time you feel lonely. My chest felt tight. I asked you for one night for our anniversary. And I told you why I couldn't, she yelled, throwing her hands up. This is insane. You're tossing away 2 years because you're insecure about my social life. You knew who I was. I looked at her, and it hit me that she would never get it. In her world, I was the one making impossible demands. I thought you were someone who wanted to build a partnership with me, I said, zipping up my bag. I do, but not if it means I have to get your permission to see my friends. I'm not asking for permission, I'm asking for participation. But it was useless. We were on 2 different planets. After 20 more minutes of the same tired argument, I just gave up. I'm done, Clara. I can't do this anymore. Done arguing or done with us? Both. That's when it seemed to finally sink in. This wasn't a fight we were going to get over. Her whole demeanor shifted from anger to desperation. She started following me, bringing up old memories. But even then, everything was filtered through her friends. Remember that road trip when we met up with Zoe and Maya? What about that time you helped Liam move? She couldn't even recall a memory that was just ours. I told her I'd get the last of my things on the weekend while she was at a friend's party. I left my key on the counter and walked out, but it didn't end there. The next morning, my phone exploded. Non-stop calls from her, essays about how we needed to be mature and talk it out. When I didn't reply, her friends started in. Zoe sent a novel about how I was tearing their family apart. Noah called me a coward for ghosting her. Liam tried to be the mediator, suggesting a group meeting. The messages got nastier all day. By the evening, I was being called a toxic manipulator for leaving without a proper discussion. Then Monday night, I came home from work and all 5 of them were camped outside my new building's entrance. She was at the front, with her friends flanking her like bodyguards. We are going to settle this, she announced, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. I told her there was nothing to settle. My decision was made. That's when Noah stepped. Source, dude, do you have any idea how much you're hurting her? How much you're hurting all of us? All of them? I asked what I had possibly done to a group of people I barely knew. Apparently, by being her boyfriend, I had an obligation to the group unit, and by leaving, I was disrupting their entire ecosystem. It was the most bizarre, codependent thing I had ever heard in my life. The whole scene was a circus. Zoe was actually crying. Maya was filming me on her phone. I told them they had 30 seconds to get off the property before I called security. They didn't budge, so I walked inside and did just that. Security escorted them away, but not before she screamed that this was far from over. Back with what I thought I'd never have to write. Life is weird. On my end, things are awesome. The new apartment is my sanctuary, work is good, and I'm hanging out with my own friends again. People I'd totally sidelined. It's amazing how much free time you have when you're not on call for someone else's social drama. But the real update is about the infamous friend group. My buddy Mark works with Liam's fiancée, Sophie, and the gossip is wild. Turns out, the unbreakable squad is starting to crack. Liam and Sophie just got engaged. She's been gently telling him that his friend group's dynamic is a little juvenile, and that he needs to create some space for their relationship. So, Liam has been quietly backing away. He's missing their weekly get-togethers and is less active in the group chat. He's prioritizing his partner. Imagine that. The ex apparently went ballistic when he said they couldn't make the annual group cabin trip because they were visiting Sophie's parents. Her exact words were, "You're turning into Chris, and it gets better." Zoe landed a massive promotion, but it means she has to move across the country. She's trying to stay connected, but the ex has been giving her the cold shoulder, making comments about how real friends don't just leave. Then there's Maya and Noah. They've apparently had a secret thing going on for years. Well, now it's not a secret, and they want to be a real couple, which is making things awkward for the group dynamic. So when I needed a little space and priority, I was selfish and controlling. But now that her friends are doing the exact same thing for their own lives, it's a 5-alarm fire and she's the victim. The best part, according to Mark, is that she's telling everyone that her friends are pulling a Chris on her. As if growing up and having an adult life is a contagious disease, I started. Meanwhile, I've just been living. Went to a show last week with college friends. No drama, no constant need for social media validation. It was incredible. I've also started seeing someone. It's early, but Jenna is a breath of fresh air. She has her own friends, but she also gets that a new relationship needs one-on-one time. Friday night we went for dinner and she didn't look at her phone once. I didn't even realize how rare that was until later. Then, 3 days ago, I get a text. It's her. First contact since the apartment ambush. "Hey, I know we ended on a bad note, but I've been thinking a lot. Maybe we could get coffee? I think we both said things we regret." What? After months of radio silence? I didn't answer. The next day, another one came through. "I know I messed up. I was immature and didn't know how to balance my life. But I'm learning. I think we could make it work if you were willing to try." I showed the text to Mark and he just laughed. Apparently she'd heard I was doing well and dating someone new. He thinks her support system is crumbling and she's realizing a stable, loving partner wasn't so bad after all. The timing is a little too perfect, isn't it? Where was all this personal growth when I was begging her for 2 years to see my side of things? I'm not responding. I'm not her safety net now that her main gig is ending. This will probably be the last time I post about this. The texts from my ex continued for another week. They weren't angry, just sad. "I finally get what you meant about balance. I miss just talking to you." That last one almost made me cave, but a good conversation doesn't make a good relationship. I held firm and stayed silent. Then last Tuesday it all came to a head. Jenna and I were at a restaurant downtown and I saw them at a table in the corner, my ex Noah and Maya. Zoe and Liam were nowhere in sight. She spotted me, and I saw the internal debate on her face. Jenna saw me tense up and asked if I was all right. I gave her the short version of the story. To her credit, my ex didn't make a scene, she just gave me a little wave. But as Jenna and I were leaving, she intercepted us at the door. "Chris, hey, can I have just 1 minute?" Jenna gave my hand a squeeze and said she'd be in the car, the classiest possible way to handle that situation. My ex looked smaller, tired. She started talking, and it sounded rehearsed. "I know you ignored my texts, and I get it. I needed to tell you that you were right. About everything, about needing balance, about what a relationship is supposed to be. I see Liam with Sophie, and I realize I never ever gave you that. I told her I appreciated it, but that it was too late." "I know," she said quickly. "I'm not asking for another shot. I just wanted you to know that I see it now, and I am truly sorry for how I treated you." It was the first real apology I'd ever gotten from her. She glanced out at the parking lot. "She seems great. I hope you're happy." And that was it. She turned and walked back to her table. I got to the car, and Jenna just asked if I was okay, and I realized that, for the first time, I completely was. The ironic postscript? The friend group is officially dead. Liam is all in on his new life. Zoe is loving her new city. Maya and Noah are doing their own thing as a couple. My ex is the only one left, trying to keep a party going after all the guests have gone home. She's finally learning that all relationships need effort, and you can't hold people hostage. In a life they've outgrown, As for me and Jenna, things are great. She met my friends last week and it was just easy. We're planning a weekend trip, just the two of us. The fact that this feels completely normal and wonderful tells me everything I need to know. I don't hold any ill will toward my ex. I hope she figures it out. But I'm so glad I chose to walk away and demand something better for myself. Sometimes the most important choice you can make is to stop being someone else's option.